Dog Boys and Z. Fuck, I do this every show. Every show. Like, what's the name of your show again, Ken Marino? Lucky Love. It wasn't until I saw Dogtown and Z Boys that I was like, oh my god. When I saw it, it was the first thing. Like, you guys were on the cover. Who was on the cover? It was you.
No, the three of us. I got a cover. Tony
You were
got a cover.
super blonde. You were like white-haired blonde kid.
That's right. Yeah.
And I have a mental picture of Skate Magazine, and in my mind, it's you coming up out of, I guess.
Yeah, we all looked that way back then, though. Everybody did.
Yeah.
We all looked that way. It could have been me. It could have been somebody else.
I guess that's why I dug it, because that's how I look too. I was like a towhead blonde,
Yeah, well,
skinny,
what?
rail
I'm
thin
hanging
kid.
out with Sean Penn later in life after he voiced, he did the narration for Dogtown. And he tells me one night, we're having beers, and he goes, I want to tell you something. He goes, I grew my hair long because of you. He goes, I saw Skateboarder magazine. I saw you in it. I was a few years younger, and I said, I'm growing my hair like him. And to hear that from Penn, I went, are you kidding me?
How do you get Sean Penn to narrate your movie?
One of the co-producers, Glenn Friedman, he had a connection to Sean's assistant. And we thought it was a long shot. Let's send Sean's assistant the trailer for the film, see what she says. She saw it and said, you know what, Sean's going to really dig this. She showed it to him. Sean called us, said, I want to see your film. He came in one day. We were scared, out of our minds. And he looked at about 15 minutes of it and said, man, I'm going to cry. And he got up and left. We had no idea what that meant. Is it good? Is it bad? Is he going to do it? And then we heard a week later, he wants to do the voiceover for the film.
And he did a good job.
Oh,
he's not a guy known as doing like voiceover work.
He said that too. He said, I don't like doing this. I don't do this very often, but I'll do it for you guys. Didn't charge us anything. Said, just get my son some skateboard equipment.
Really?
Yeah, that's all he wanted. It was really cool.
Who, Hop?
Yeah.
That's tight.
So we went over there and I taught his son some couple of skateboard tricks and gave him a bag of goodies.
Was there a second pier in Venice that collapsed into the ocean, like a Ferris wheel that went under?
Yeah, man, POP.
Okay, I wasn't. All right.
It's just north of Rose. Just north of Rose Avenue.
Yeah.
Which is basically the halfway point between Venice Pier and Santa Monica.
Where the giant clown is on top of the liquor store.
Roughly just north of that.
Yeah.
About a block north of that.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah. There was
because it's too bizarre for words.
This pier, it was about a half a block wide.
Yeah.
It was huge. It was huge.
And there was a storm that made it go in?
What happened was in 67, it was something like, I think in 65, CBS bought the pier. They were going to do it as a business.
Our new show, Pier. Yeah. Stay tuned for Pier right after Monday Night Football. Pier. With Tony Alva, Che Adams, Stacy Peralta, and the Asian kid. I didn't know that CBS bought it.
They bought it, I guess, for a business, and something happened. It didn't produce the numbers, so it went bankrupt, the whole pier, and it stayed there rotting for about almost
a network to fuck up a pier.
Yeah.
They rain that into the ground. They can't turn a profit on a fucking buy your tickets here, and then you can go out and go on the rides. We don't know how this works. I mean, all you need to know about a network, Stacy, from the guy that's worked in too many networks.
Believe me, I did 7 years of TV, worst part of my life.
All right, but for the listeners, all you need to know about network television is it took them 4 years to put Friday Night Lights on Friday nights. Tuesdays, Thursdays, back. I'm like, it's called fucking Friday Night Lights, you assholes. Put it on fucking Fridays. I shouldn't watch a show with Friday in the title on a Tuesday. They canceled Law and Order. What else do you need to know? What would you do for 7 years? Why am I shouting? Because I'm passionate about
television. It was the only
what television?
It was the only time in my life I've ever felt like I had a job.
What television did you do?
All sorts of stuff. I did,
really?
Single camera comedy.
Right now, Eddie Ift is screaming at his computer. How do you not know this? Why isn't he doing our podcast?
No, I hated it, man. I was dying. Do you remember when we met?
At K-Rock.
No.
No? I thought it was at K-Rock.
No. We worked together one time.
What?
Yes. That was in my low years.
I'm doing a podcast from my garage, so welcome to mine.
You don't remember the Mafia.
The movie Mafia?
Yeah.
What did you play in Mafia?
I didn't play anything. I did a behind-the-scenes film of that.
Oh, you were like doing the...
I interview you.
The B-roll stuff.
No, we did it. We did a behind-the-scenes film of Jim Abrams as a out-of-control director.
Oh yeah, there's
And
always one of those.
I interviewed you probably 3 separate times, and you were pretty patient with us, considering. But no one likes those crews that come around.
I think I always am aware of the fact that the crew realizes. I mean, you're kind of anytime you
Oh,
have
you're
to
just
shoot.
an invalid. You're just a worthless invalid when you're on a
Well, you're invading something that's been up and running for. It's like
Oh,
joining a team mid-season. Like we've been
No, but
filming
it's
for
worse.
a month.
It's even worse than that.
And hey, instead of taking lunch or taking a nap, do us a favor. Go down at the basement of this house and do
Exactly.
an interview with these people for something that no one will see.
Exactly.
But that's
Exactly.
every movie. That's just the gig.
But this was
Except
different.
if you're
This
Sean
was
Penn, he doesn't have to do it.
This was like an EPK. This wasn't an EPK. It was actually a short TV show that they showed on like the entertainment channel about Jim.
Yeah, I think I'm just vaguely coming
And
back.
what it was
I
is
said
you
what
were-
no one knows is he doesn't speak a word of English.
Yeah, you were
stuff
all
like that.
condemning him. What an asshole
Yeah,
he is,
yeah,
what a
yeah.
jerk he is.
Because
That's where
in real life, Jim Abrams is doing the Lord's work for crying out loud. He's
Exactly.
one of the sweetest men in the
great
world.
guy, wonderful guy. Anyways, that's how we met, so it's not a surprise that you can't remember that.
Well, it'd be weird because you had your face behind a camera.
Yeah.
Or did you sit in the chair across from
I
me?
sat on
Who
the
cares
chair
about this?
across
Let's
from
talk
you.
about surfing.
All right. Anyways, that's
So
what happened.
there was a Ferris wheel and stuff on this pier. There were rides.
Everything.
So when this goes into the water, what year is this?
It's a series of things. A storm hits it in '68. A fire hits it a couple years later. Another storm.
Jewish lightning.
Just the whole thing. And it was a party place, and it was basically decaying, man.
I guess what I'm trying to get to in a roundabout way is when you guys are surfing in that area, you have to surf around the rides that are underwater.
Well, they're hanging over you.
Really?
There was a ride with these long arms like this with cars on the end that
Yeah.
went over the pier. So those were over on top of the pier. When you're on the water there, next to the pylons, those things are above you, hanging over.
But there's also stuff that have fallen into the ocean.
There's crap everywhere. It was a mess.
So you
man.
should have just let locals surf with you because they would have killed themselves bumping into the fucking zipper.
It was crazy.
Nothing.
But that's what it was, the zipper and all that stuff. But it was an amazing place when we were little kids.
Is it all still in the water over there? Because I'm surprised more people don't dive there.
I have no idea. I have no idea what's underneath there. I have no clue. You can't. The Santa Monica Bay is not the clearest water, so it's not.
That's what Maddie tells me all the time.
exactly
Can't see
easy.
shit in that water anyway. I'm like, bro, I'm from Jersey. If you go to Sandy Hook, you swim and you get hit in the face with a stomach. And it says property of Elizabeth Hospital, and you're like, oh, okay. And you just no harm, no foul. You guys, I mean, you start, with Dogtown, and it's you and Al Van Adams and the guys, and then Bones Brigade is born out of that, and then from Bones Brigade, I guess you could say it's kind of like
Here's what happened.
Go ahead.
I was on this great skateboard team. Dream of my life. Okay, it's like finally this thing happens, and it's over in less than 2 years. In fact, the second it's successful, it completely explodes. It's gone. The dream is like not going to happen. Okay. So from that point forward, I then go on to have a great professional skateboarding career, one of the best of my generation. But all the time in the back of my head, I'm thinking, I was on this great skateboarding team and it never happened. I never got to experience that. So towards the end of my own skateboarding career, my dream was I want to create that thing I never got to do myself. I want to create that great skateboard team.
you want to get the band back together.
Except I don't want it to ever end. I want to make it last where these guys have real careers.
Okay.
And so I start a company at age 21 or 22, with George Powell, and shortly thereafter I start assembling my team, which will eventually consist of Tony Hawk, Steve Cavallero, Rodney Mullen, Lance Mountain, Mike McGill, and Tommy Guerrero, who today are 6 of the greatest skateboarders of all time. But back then, man, they were 13-year-old little dorks that had the same dream I had about 5 years earlier.
Now, you are a god to these guys. And they're 13, and Stacy Peralta is putting together a skateboard team. So, I mean, this isn't something, there's no Craigslist then. So it's just word on the street that Stacy Peralta and Powell are putting a crew together?
Yeah, and I was showing up at all the amateur contests. I was showing up where these guys were, and I was looking around for them.
Murmur, Peralta's here, man.
Yeah, and
Peralta's here, bro.
And yeah, they'd put it on for me. I'd look at them and say, "That's it. I want, I'm interested in this kid or that kid." So I had my pick, and so I started putting these guys on. And understand, man, when I put Tony Hawk on the team, he didn't have any. You wouldn't look at him and go, "Oh yeah, he's going to be the greatest skateboarder in the world someday." In fact, he didn't show off that kind of talent at all. What he showed off was just this fierce determination. He was a bag of bolts. He was like a tiny, skinny kid who had no strength whatsoever. Had no strengths whatsoever, to the point where he had to develop techniques of skateboarding that people thought were cheating, but in fact they were so advanced that no one recognized it.
Like what?
You know what the ollie is?
Yes.
The ollie, you pop up over
Yes.
things. Well, Tony learned typically when we would do backside, like aerials, you go up the side of a pool and you pull your board away and jump. Okay? Tony couldn't do that. He was too weak. So he learned to go up and pop his board, ollie it. He would ollie it and sail, and then grab his board and sail and come down. People thought that was a cheat. But in fact, it was the future, because it's a more efficient way to do it, and you can get higher doing it that way. So he ends up inventing these ways because he's overcoming his weaknesses, and it's actually showing us what the future is going to be. It was amazing. Wow. Amazing.
That's so badass.
And then, you know, Rodney Mullen, who not only invented modern freestyle, but everything he invented in modern freestyle would 10 years later be the foundation for modern street skating. You know, the flatland ollie and, you know, the ollie flip and all these millions of tricks that this guy invents. He's like the Chopin of skateboarding, you know, so.
And so that was Bones Brigade.
That was Bones
You
Brigade.
and Powell put together Bones Brigade. What made you decide on that name?
I had a creative partner named Craig Stesick, and we were doing all this unusual advertisements, all these ads, and I've always hated the word team. I just hate team.
Yeah.
And I hate coach and all that stuff. And I was telling Craig, I don't want to call this the Powell-Peralta skateboard team. I don't want a team in the thing. And we made these wheels called Bones wheels because they were white. Were white urethane. So I'm screaming at Craig, I don't want to call it a team. I don't want to call it skateboarding. I don't want skateboarding in the title of it. And Craig just looks at me and he goes, Bones Brigade. And I went, that, perfect. Thanks. That was it.
It is perfect.
We didn't focus group it. We just went, that's perfect.
And it is like
But we thought about it for a
name.
second. We thought, okay, Bones Brigade, Brigade. It's a B-17. We got this image of a B-17. Each guy plays a part in this thing, in this team, in this plane. There's the driver, there's the bombers, there's the tail bombers, the wing bombers. They're all dependent on one another for their life. That's what we want this team to be. No guy is too important. So that's what it was all about, man. It was about progressing, you know,
It's important too. I mean, I always am fascinated by rock and roll stars that have the ability to write. What's the word I'm looking for? I'll come to it eventually. But to make indelible marks, like to write things, like just simple phrases like sweet emotion, born to run, to write indelibly. Like Bones Brigade, if you ask like just the guy in the street, they might not be sure what it is, but they know it's important. You know what? They might think it's like a band. Like, you know what I mean? I'm being serious. Like, if you ask, like, people go like, you know, the Metal Militia, the Bones Brigade, like Bad Brains. These are things that I'm not sure what they are, but I know it's something young kids do that are getting into trouble. And I know it's something cool, and I know that it's something new. You know what I mean? And that's really the whole thing is when you guys were, and, you know, it has to be new. It has to be new, and it has to seem new a decade after the fact. Is what you were saying too, is you wanted it to keep going in perpetuity.
Yeah.
And so Tony Hawk, then you have like Treehouse, like, and that's new. And then every other guy branches out. So you live forever from this Bones Brigade. Your dream has sort of come true. Not sort of.
No, it did.
Your dream has come true.
No, it came true.
Is there a way it could have worked differently that you'd be more happy than you are today with the way it went?
I'm pretty happy with the way it worked out. I'm actually, no, I don't have any issues, man. I really don't have any issues. I never got rich off it. I did well. Never got rich.
What's the most money you made in a year? But you didn't make money surfing.
No.
But you surf almost every day.
No, because I left surfing to pursue skateboarding.
What was the most money you made in a year skateboarding? In your life?
$250,000, 300,000.
Jesus, that's just so amazing.
Yeah.
You know what? That is breaking the law. Now it makes sense to me when you give me a number and I picture
Why?
you
Because
doing,
it's such a low number?
No, because it's high for like for doing what you were doing in your yard at 7 with your imagination. Like that's the dream of like every jock in the world throwing the ball with their old man in the yard. Dreams like one day I can make money just doing this, and you did it.
Yeah.
God,
No,
you're the coolest.
Man. No, we did it, man. But you know what? You know what happened after that though? I realized. See, I didn't grow up with a good education. I went to Venice High School.
Not good?
Not good, man.
All right.
Not happening.
What's their?
It was a daycare center, actually.
What's their mascot? The Venice.
I have no. It was a knife, I think. No, but the thing is, what happened was when I became a professional skateboarder, it was the first time in my life I'd ever done something. And I realized at that point, I cannot go backwards, ever. I got to go forwards in my life. I got to keep accomplishing dreams, man. I don't mean to sound corny, but
No, you don't sound corny, 'cause
I really like that was it. It's like that. I got to keep doing this.
Look,
This is too addictive.
right.
And if I don't keep doing this, I'm going to end up looking at the rearview mirror of my life, and I don't want to do that.
And to the listener, it's important for, we get about 250,000 people listening to each one of these. If you think any of this sounds corny, you got to realize